What's good? It's your boy Fanon. Teddy Atlas is begging Anthony Joshua to duck Deontay Wilder. Absolutely ridiculous. And, however, par for the course for Teddy Atlas, who was very well known for saying a bunch of ridiculous nonsense. And the only reason that I could justify him doing this is he might be looking for a job with Matchroom Boxing and DAZN covering their fights because he got booted up off of ESPN. Now I'm going to get into the details of that real quick, but before I do that, I want to thank everybody that attends the live stream. We have very good live streams on the channel, very mature and knowledgeable boxing fans. So I hope you accept my invitation to attend the next live stream we do. The best way to know about the live streams are to subscribe and hit the bell icon. And that way you'll be notified of exactly when it happens. Because I don't always do them on a regularly scheduled basis. Also, I want to thank everybody that donated through the Super Chat, Venmo, and Patreon. And also, thanks for everybody that's been sharing the videos. That's been very helpful in growing the channel. The purpose of the channel is to support young athletes and youth sports program. And whenever you guys do that, watch the videos, like, subscribe, come to the live stream. All that is very, very helpful. So thank you very, very much. Now, that said, let me go through this article and I want to discuss it because it just shows, something that's, it's probably the biggest thing, in my opinion, it's the biggest thing holding back the sport of boxing. And for Teddy Atlas to say this in a situation like this, where you have a guy who has 3 of the major championship belts, to suggest that he should wait several years before fighting a particular fighter, and the guy that has the only other belt, it's absolutely ridiculous. So let me go through it. Atlas, Joshua's handlers should keep him away from Wilder. Veteran trainer and ESPN expert analyst Teddy Atlas believes IBF, IBO, WBA, WBO heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, who's 21-0 with 20 KOs, should wait a little while longer before facing WBC champion Deontay Wilder, 40-0 with 39 KOs, in a full division unification. Years ago, Atlas trained Alexander Povetkin of Russia and famously persuaded the Russian fighter to delay a mandatory fight with Vladimir Klitschko. Povetkin eventually faced Klitschko in 2013 and survived several knockdowns to lose a 12-round decision. It's the only defeat of Povetkin's career. Ironically, Povetkin is currently the WBA and WBO mandatory challenger to Joshua. In the opinion of Atlas, Joshua can fight several other boxers and make a lot of money, so he doesn't see the reason in placing him in the ring with someone as dangerous as Wilder. Joshua is arguably regarded as the biggest star in boxing, with record crowds attending his fights, like the crowd of 90,000 that packed Wembley last April when the British fighter stopped Klitschko. Wilder can do one thing. He can punch like a son of a gun. Why would you risk that if you can fight anybody? Joshua's people should be arrested if they put him in there with him right now, Atlas told Siri XM's boxing radio show. Right now, they can make money fighting other guys. Maybe a year, 2 years down the road, the fight becomes a bigger fight. Then you can go and take that risk. The two sides are currently in talks after Wilder's team made an offer of a guaranteed $50 million for a showdown in the United States. It's still not clear if Joshua and his team will reach an agreement to stage the contest in the near future. Povetkin has already been named as the backup opponent. On the other side, Wilder will likely face the current WBC mandatory challenger, Dominic Brazil. Now, this article is just, I think, a little bit behind the times, or it's not acknowledging the reports that the fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are getting closer, and that it's looking like it's going to be in Las Vegas and in the November. I think it's the November December time frame. Might be the October November time frame, but that this fight is getting closer and closer to being made. So, what is Teddy Atlas asking for the suggesting the WBA, the WBC, and the WBO champion, Anthony Joshua, should duck the WBC champion for up to 2 years because he can make a lot of money fighting other people. Ridiculous. Never mind the fact that boxing fans get an opportunity to see unification in the heavyweight division that has not happened since as long, possibly as long as Mike Tyson. I would argue and side with Lennox Lewis that it was since Lennox Lewis. However, there is no dominant heavyweight that's at the top of. There's no one heavyweight champion. And for the money that's been offered Anthony Joshua, for $50 million, for him to pass that up would be ridiculous. But just money aside, what about the fans? What about the sport? What about the sport of boxing? What about the need for big money, for big time fights that can generate a lot of interest to take place, and when they are most wanted, which is now? Why would you want, as a boxing fan, to have this type of fight go to a year, 2 years? You don't know what's going to happen. Deontay Wilder, this is the heavyweight division. Deontay Wilder could lose, Anthony Joshua could lose, and the fight could just go away. And it's not as if one or the other doesn't hold a belt, right? In the case of Alexander Povetkin, trying to have Alexander Povetkin not take a shot at Vladimir Klitschko when Alexander Povetkin's not ready for the fight is one thing, because Vladimir Klitschko, I do believe, was the champion. If somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that it was Vladimir Klitschko that was the champion. And since Vladimir Klitschko was the champion, and you have the ability, your fighter Alexander Povetkin, you don't believe your fighter Alexander Povetkin can win the fight, then hey man, go on about your business, do whatever. I don't remember anybody clamoring for Klitschko versus Povetkin. Matter of fact, I don't remember anybody clamoring for Klitschko versus anybody or Povetkin versus anybody. The problem with the heavyweight division when Klitschko was there was that the two best fighters were brothers in Vitaly Klitschko and Vladimir Klitschko, and the fight could not take place. That fight could not take place because they're brothers, and it completely killed the interest at the top of the heavyweight division, because you pretty much knew, unless lightning struck, who was going to win the fight. Now, granted, lightning did strike a couple times. Layman Brewster struck lightning. Lightning struck with Layman Brewster, and lightning struck with Corey Sanders. But, that's it. Other than that, there was no mystery. There's no intrigue, nothing to that. But now that we have an opportunity to get this, Teddy Atlas wants him to say he would go to jail. They should go to jail for getting Anthony Joshua, or for allowing Anthony Joshua to accept a $50 million guarantee purse to unify all the belts in the heavyweight division. It's just ridiculous. And we'll see when sporting commentators or quote unquote experts say that, that tells you what viewpoint they're coming at it from. Teddy Atlas is clearly does not consider himself a boxing fan. He must consider himself upper management in a boxer's life, right? A manager, a matchmaker, some type of middleman that stands between me and the boxing match that I want to see. Because this is the type of advice that you would get from somebody who is in the middle of whose livelihood also relies on it. No, Anthony, please don't fight him right now because if you fight him now, you can lose. Let's fight 2 or 3 other people, actually up to 2 years. So that could be, let's fight 4 other people. That way I can get paid 4 times. We can stretch this out and maybe Deontay Wilder can lose and you can get that belt off of somebody else. So, let's play chess, right? Let's play chess. Let's not play checkers. Let's play chess, or better yet, let's play chess. Let's not play boxing. Let's figure out how we can go around and beat the system and wait for this dude to go away. And then you can then you'll have all that money and I'll continue to get the paydays that I want. That seems like where he's coming from. But as from a boxing fan standpoint, why would I want to wait two more years for that fight? Why would I want to wait another? How long have I been waiting? It's been a year at least that I've been waiting on Keith Thurman and Errol Spence Jr. That looks like that might not ever happen. That was a fight that was going to be, that would have been one of the top fights in boxing. But, hey, still waiting. You got another really great fight in boxing that could be happening. Mikey Garcia versus Vasily Lomachenko. But the way Bob Arum's talking, we'll be waiting. There's no reason to wait for Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua's got $50 million on the table. And it's kind of silly for Teddy Atlas to say that. But why would Teddy Atlas, besides that part of it, another part of it is maybe he just really likes Anthony Joshua as a person. But he doesn't think that Anthony Joshua can beat Deontay Wilder. And he might be thinking it is career suicide to get into the ring with Deontay Wilder because Anthony Joshua can't win. He says the one thing Deontay Wilder can do is he can hit really, really hard. Yeah, he can do a little bit more than that. He's also very, very agile. He's very long. He's not the easiest dude in the world to hit when he doesn't want to be hit. Doesn't want to be hit. He also has twice as many professional fights as Anthony Joshua does. So, he's been in championship fights more than Anthony Joshua is. So there's a series of things that are advantages for Deontay Wilder. Besides just the fact that he hits very, very hard. And that Anthony Joshua is not the hardest guy in the world to hit. He's got decent defense, and I think that Anthony Joshua is all around is a very, very good fighter. I would favor Deontay Wilder in this fight pretty much just because, in large part, not just because, but in large part because of the way that people like Teddy Atlas are acting. Acting as if the boogeyman is coming, the Grinch is coming to steal the Christmas presents from underneath the Christmas tree. Like you got this, this great heavyweight champion with a great future and, who can be an international star, a guy that gets a lot of different, corporate sponsorships, who can really be a shining and great face on the top, and at the front of boxing, right? And represent boxing, be the face of boxing. But you just might run into a cat like Deontay Wilder who can end all of that. So maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know, man. Or, like I said, it could very well be that he's trying to get a job with Matchroom Boxing. My understanding is they got what's supposed to be, they got some big licensing fees coming from for 30 fights a year. Hey, maybe he's like, look, I I'll say whatever you want me to say, Eddie. I'll say whatever you want me to say, Eddie. Just make sure that I get to cover 10 to 15 fights a year. Because my contract is about to expire with ESPN, and I could really use, I would like to be able to cover fights in the UK. I'd like to be able to cover fights in the United States, and I got a lot of experience doing it. You can put a familiar boxing face and voice on your network. And in exchange for that, I'll start doing your PR work for you already. I'll try to throw something out there that maybe Deontay Wilder can read, or Anthony Joshua can read. Some of his people can read. Get Anthony Joshua's fans behind the notion of ducking Deontay Wilder. I mean, who knows? Because just for him to say it, I know that Teddy Atlas is a company man. That's without a doubt. That little spiel he did with Vasyl Lomachenko in the face of Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford, when he jumped out there saying that Vasyl Lomachenko was the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, where Andre Ward is there. And I don't even think Andre Ward had retired yet. But Andre Ward is there fresh off of a victory against Sergey Kovalev, right? A guy who was in a lot of people's top 5 pound for pound. And I think that I think that might have been after the Miguel Mariaga fight. Something like that. But, just willing to say whatever. Obviously willing to say whatever. And so I just find that real interesting, man, that he would go out of his way to say this about Anthony Joshua. But as far as Anthony Joshua, look, I've been doing several videos, and whether he would take that route, I'm feeling a lot more confident that my man Anthony Joshua is not that kind of guy. That Anthony Joshua is looking like Anthony Joshua is a man of his word. And it shouldn't be too hard to be a man of your word when you're saying that I will fight for $50 million guaranteed. And you get an offer of $50 million guaranteed and 50% of the revenue from the bout, whichever's greater. Whether if the bout does 60 million, Anthony Joshua walks out with everything, and they take an L. If it walks away with 100, if it makes $120 million, Anthony Joshua makes $60 million. If it winds up at $100 million, Anthony Joshua makes $50 million. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like Floyd Mayweather Jr. said, and I'm sure he didn't just get it, I doubt very much he was the first person ever to say this. It's prize fighting, dummy. It's prize fighting. These cats are trying to make the most money. And it's not like this is more risk for more reward. This isn't more risk for less reward, right? This isn't something that it's not like we're asking him to do what Deontay Wilder did. It's not like we're asking Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, to fight Luis Ortiz, right? And and fight somebody for $2 million that he didn't have any business. He didn't have any reason or any obligation to fight in the first place. Nobody's asking Anthony Joshua to do that. They're just saying, hey, you got all 3 belts. You got 3 of the major championship belts. Deontay Wilder's got the other one. Hey, man, take this $50 million guarantee that you asked for, $50 million or 50% of the revenue from the fight, and whichever's higher, and ask him to do that. That's not the same thing as what Teddy Atlas is saying about Alexander Povetkin. But even that was suspect. Why would you put off a fight without what? Why would you put off the inevitable, dude? Did you get more money down the road? Maybe he got more money down the road. Or more than likely, he took 2 or 3 more fights, right? Maybe he took a couple more fights and got a couple more paydays before he went and lost. Is that what he's saying? Is that what Teddy Atlas is saying? Hey, Anthony Joshua, get 2 or 3 more paydays before you go over there and lose to Deontay Wilder. I'm just certainly hope that Anthony Joshua don't listen to him and the reports are true that this fight's going to be made. And with that, I'm out. Peace.